sexy music because it is time for a very sexy Tweet Leaks, J-Man. That intro made me a little uncomfortable. All right.
One of the first things I wanted to talk about was about what we originally did with the STFs and what they were meant for. So basically, originally when we made the STFs, these guys were they were made for small teams. They were made for small teams that played together a lot. And keep in mind, we made the design for them before we shipped, so we really didn't have any idea of what our player base was. So we didn't know if we were going to have a lot of people in fleets that like to play together often, or if we were going to have,
just a bunch of pickup groups.
Right, we didn't know. So basically the design was for small groups of people that played together often. And so a couple of things happened. First off, we didn't have that many of those type of people playing our game, which we still have some, but we didn't have a whole lot of them.
Right.
The second thing that happened was, while I was away, we made the level cap a little higher. So you'll notice now that the board gateway has moved.
Yeah.
It is now over the Starbase. It's basically the same story. One of the things I've done this time is I've actually given you some hints along the way, especially on this one. This is the first one that you're likely to play as a new player. So the bridge officers will pop up here and give you information occasionally. They give you little hints on what's going on with the mission.
What is that gateway thing?
Yeah, what's the gateway? Well, this is what the gateway is, and basically it's telling you need to destroy the gateway.
Right.
All right, so the first mission objective here, good luck. Now this will actually fill up over the course of this mission with information, so you want to check back if you remember what's going on. So the first thing we need to do is stop the border patrols. Well, right now there's 3 of those guys. Everything else is shielded in the system, as you can see. So and you'll notice something is going to be the first thing that most people notice here. I'm going to kill this last guy. Basically, what happens when I kill this last guy is the shield just went down the gate. It will now stay down. It does never come back up.
Okay. Dude, oh, really?
So now the gate is open, but the gate has tricks. You can still know. So the gate has tricks.
Yeah.
So basically the mission, by the way, now has an optional objective running that says complete all objectives in 15 minutes.
That's cool.
All right, so that's all the objectives right here. So secure the system, destroy the gateway, destroy the transformers. All right, so we're going to go over here and show you the first thing. Well, you notice nothing's coming out of the gate.
Right.
Well, that's because the Borg have upgraded the gate.
Oh.
So we're going to fire at the gate, and the first thing that's going to happen here is the gate is going to start firing back at me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There it goes.
Oh, yeah.
Bam.
There it
All right. So the gate doesn't need to protect itself, or the gate doesn't need protectors anymore, because it now protects itself.
Yeah.
Now, so we'll fly around here for a second, and I'll explain the whole reasoning behind this. So one of the things that was always problematic with any time I used the gates was no matter where I'd put protectors, there was always an angle, because of the way our system is, that players could get that would basically let them shoot the gate and not get shot back at.
Well, there was a common tactic for a long time where you would fly to the other side of the
Right,
gate
get
before you
behind the
triggered
gate.
it.
Right. And it's not a bad tactic, it was just anti what the mission was about. So basically the mission is destroying the gate. That's what this whole mission has always been about. So now it's a little more fun. So keep in mind this guy's stationary, he can't move. But so the trick here is I have to destroy the gate. Now the problem with that is when I get it to a certain health percent, these 2 big dudes on the side will actually, the shields will come down and start healing the gate. And 2 big beams. So these guys are now healing the gate.
Yeah.
So now, this is where I was talking about. Everybody has a job.
Darn quickly, too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So everybody has a job. That's the whole thing here.
Right.
So there's a job. Somebody's going to have to stay over here and damage the gate.
At least enough to try
keep
and
it-
offset the healing.
Right, because the only time these guys, you notice the shield is down and you can shoot them, is when this guy's being healed.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah, okay.
so it's a chain reaction. You bring this guy down, these guys open up. Well, it's a 3-tier chain reaction, because as soon as I damage this guy, those start healing that guy. Right.
So that also makes it so that you have to focus on one side or the other pretty much.
Absolutely. So now the gate is almost healed. You see everything pop back up here in a
Yeah,
second. You'll
I
see
know,
what
yeah,
exactly I'm
it'll
talking
stop.
about. So when the gate, well, that was the transformer. When the gate actually heals itself, there it goes. So now the gate is up, and you have to do the process again. Again, everybody has a job. Part of the team over here, part of the team over here.
So this really would be
Everybody has a job.
nearly impossible to do solo because
Yeah.
you just don't have enough fire.
They're all that way now. It's in space. You have to have a team, at least a couple of people, right? So if you notice, again, there's little hints going on here. Every time I did something, the bridge option popped up. So, hey, here's the transformers. Here's how the transformers work. Hey, here's the generators. Here's how the generators work. And there's one more thing you haven't seen yet. And then we're going to destroy one of these. Now, not like that. There we go. So let's. Again, testing this thing was a lot of fun. Oh yeah, look, something spawned.
Yeah.
Well, this guy, his only job is to come over here now and start
Take
taking
its
this
place.
guy.
Repairing him.
So the board runs cool things here is, and now this guy is shooting at me, but there's only like 3 things on this map that shoot at you right now, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
It's
So it's really all just teamwork.
It's not firepower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is the normal version, so the elite version will step up a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, there's only 3 things that are shooting you, and the biggest one doesn't even move.
Right.
So this is really all about strategy. So one of the beautiful things now is now this mission is effectively over. I went ahead and killed everything. But so now down here, because I did 15 minutes, you'll see 2 loot bags.
Yeah.
One
Now-
for the regular reward and one for the optional.
Well, everybody on the team gets a loot bag. But since I'm only a team of 1, that's why I only had 1. A full team would now see 6 loot bags here.
Okay.
One is for the optional that the team shares because you got the optional. The other is your personal loot bag.
Okay.
So it automatically will give you loot per person. And that's important because it fits into how the STFs work. So because I'm the only person on the map and I did the optional objective, I have 2 loots, right? So I'll go ahead and one of these is specifically for me. And we'll get into what this is here in just a second because this is wow. That's cool. That's a really good one. Crap.
I guess you get to show us a really good one.
Well, yeah, I get to. The Rare Borg Shield Tech is actually a Mark 11 set piece. It just dropped a Mark 11 set piece, which is a 10 to
But again,
10% drop.
as sort of a token that you'll turn in for the specific
Exactly.
things that you want.
Both of these things are basically bind on pickup items, but now you get to choose what you want. Like for instance, this Rare Borg Shield Tech, rare means Mark 11. So it's a Mark 11 token, basically. It's not a token, it's more like crafting.
Okay.
It's basically a component. Because when I take these all, they go into my bag.
They're items, they're not assets.
And basically if I click on it and I say info, it'll tell me this is a piece of Rare Borg Shield technology. It can be used to requisition a Mark 11 special reserve item from the requisition officer.
Awesome.
Okay, so what that means, that was a really rare drop, I'm glad it happened. That means that, so special reserve is the kits, the new kits, and so that means I just looted a Mark 11
Borg.
but I can choose, right? I can choose between the Keller Run set and the Elite Force.
So if you're lucky enough to get a rare drop like that a couple times when you play these, you can get different things each time.
Well, this one is but this is where it goes back to the bot. This is space and it's infected.
Right.
It's the only one that will ever drop that.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
So it doesn't every time.
No. But
Oh
what
my
it does
goodness.
do every time is drop these, which are common Borg salvage. Every time you run an STF, you will get common Borg salvage. Common Borg salvage, again, more like a crafting component, can be saved up and then used on requisition.
Oh, hi there, Internet. I didn't expect to see you today. You see, I'm not really doing Stoked. I'm taking the weekend off, as you can tell. Actually, coming up in just a few minutes, I'm going to put in the first trial run that we're doing of the new Jupiter Force News Roundtable. This isn't a full show. We just this weekend took the Stoked downtime and decided to record a example of what maybe the News Roundtable might be with the week's news stories. Now, this is just a first run. It's like a draft copy, and it's a full panel. We may or may not be doing this many regular panel members going forward, but we wanted to give you guys an idea, but more specifically, we wanted to get your feedback. So leave us a comment wherever you're watching this. Let me know what you think of the new format. Of course, remember, it is the first run. It's the first run. I mean, I actually thought it was pretty good, so I'm excited to see where it goes. Let me know what you think, and enjoy. It's time for our news segment, and now the new reformatted show, of course, we have our roundtable, which is seats here filled by different members of Jupiter Force. Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so we should probably go around and do a one-time introduction here. So up in the top corner is Peregrine Falcon. Wave there, Peregrine, so everybody knows who you are. And then we have Dr. Kaz. Dr. Kaz, wave so people know who you is. And then over there we have Trekker in the far corner. Say hi, Trekker.
Hi.
And then, of course, right next to me here is, over there is Murphy. Say hi, Murphy.
Hello.
And Irish. You probably recognize, say hi, Irish. You probably recognize both those lower gentlemen from the Foundry files. But we're not here to talk about the Foundry today, are we, guys?
Sadly.
No.
Sadly. No, we're here
Maybe
to talk
later.
about the news. Why don't we kick off our first news story with the big changes coming to the game. It's the economy, stupid, and the dilithium changes. Peregrine, you want to walk us through some of the dilithium changes that you think now we should make a disclaimer, all subject to change. But what's going on right now?
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's all subject to change. When it first went on to Tribble, a lot of the numbers were crazy high, and a lot of the sources just weren't there. Missions weren't giving you dilithium. There's been a lot of feedback about it. And with the patch on the 13th, a lot of the numbers have come down.
Yeah.
And the dilithium, I'm trying to find it here on the dock, is now if you compare to the way it is the emblems on holodeck, ship weapons have become much more expensive in the equivalent. Equipment, consoles, and ground weapons are about the same, but a lot of the ground equipment, armor, and kits and shields the price has been dropped by almost half.
Okay.
But as you said, this is completely in flux, so the next patch may change all these numbers completely.
Right. Now, and I think you guys have gotten the impression that they're at least listening to feedback, right? Because remember when these first changes were on Tribble, I mean, people were really mad. I mean, like some
They
equipment
flipped out.
some equipment was considerably more expensive than a ship and stuff like that. So,
Right.
and changes in the right direction, of course, but I don't know. The thing is, the one thing I don't like about dilithium myself, and I know this is a small nitpicky thing that I really shouldn't make a big deal about, but I don't like the quantity of it. I don't like that the dilithium isn't a thing, right? I mean, it is a thing, but no one crystal is like another crystal. So it seems like we're throwing a little bit of science out the window here, which really bugs me because Star Trek is usually based on at least some science, some sound science. And like I get a slip of dilithium because a dilithium slip is always a known size, a known amount, a known weight, a known quantity. But when you're charging me 50 dilithium for something, what does that mean? Is it 50 crystals, and are they all shaved exactly this? Are they all machined exactly the same?
Dilithium in the shows was never used as currency. I didn't have a problem with them keeping merits for Starfleet and honor for the KDF.
Right,
I don't
right.
know why they changed it, but they did. But yeah, like you said, it's not currency. They're different crystals, different sizes, but that's the new currency now. They could have kept it the same, or they could have done exactly the same thing they're doing now, but just called them merits instead of dilithium.
Chat room says I'm being too nitpicky, so I'll move on. But it feels a little undefined. It still feels a little nebulous to me. Like it's just this. I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a gimme. Like deuterium would make more sense even because that could be like a weighted, and they could have little deuterium containers, and you could have a small deuterium container and a large deuterium container. With dilithium, it's just not specific enough. And the only reason why it bugs me is because all the stuff in this game is supposed to be based on stuff from Trek. And dilithium is a thing in Trek, and it's not a defined size, not a defined amount.
I think that's why they picked the word dilithium, was because it was a Trek word, and so they picked it and decided to use it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on. I think we don't want to kick the dilithium around too much yet because it is in such flux. There's so much change going on that we realize that when time comes, when it's kind of firmed up, we'll talk the crap out of it on the show, but we're going to wait until that point comes. Let's actually talk about something that I feel like affects me personally. It stabs me right in the heart, you guys, and there's some announcements about some upcoming ship changes. This was covered like in one of these Path to Free-to-Play blog posts, right? So what we know is they're taking the Excelsior class and they're taking things like the Nebula ship and they're making them +1 ships only available in the C-Store. They're converting their special ability, like, in the case of the Excelsior, the transwarp drive, they're converting that to a console, right?
Right. And the Commander Excelsior and Nebula are going from what they are on holodeck to being C-Store only.
Right.
Yeah. And what I have to say on that is I do not like any of the standard tier 3 ships. Like, I'd get to that rank, I'm like, I don't like any of these ships. The only one I did like that they added was the Excelsior. Now, I have to buy that on the C-Store, and it's only for when I'm at Commander, really. I mean, you get the console, but...
D'Angelo, in his Path to Free-to-Play blog post, actually just broke out which ones you're going to now have to buy through the C-Store. And, it's things like the Excelsior, the Nebula, the Excelsior Retrofit, which is, of course, the one I really care about. But also, aren't they also moving the Science Vessel Retrofit into... Yeah, Science, the Intrepid Retrofit's also going to be...
I think all the VA ships are getting moved up to where you can only get them on the C-Store now.
And here's the part that doesn't make any sense to me, because if you say, let's take the Science Retrofit ship. That's your ship of choice, right, Murphy?
Yeah, that's mine.
You take that. It's got its ability is the ablative armor from the final episode of Voyager, right?
Yes.
Right.
They're converting that to a console. But because it requires artwork and special effects on the ship model, the console is uniquely bound to only the Science Retrofit. So you get no gain from it being a console, but you do lose a console slot.
Well, you do get a gain because if you don't want to use it, you can take it out and put something else in that console
But I had
slot.
it now as like an innate ability where I never had to burn a slot, and if I didn't want to use it, I just wouldn't have equipped the button.
Right.
Like, you really only need to use it in maybe PvP, maybe in STF, not really episodic content at all. But it didn't take up a console slot. It just took up, well, nothing, just a spot on your power tray.
Well, didn't the ship actually lose a console slot in return for that?
I don't know. Might have.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, if they're adding a slot, that wouldn't be so bad.
Right, so you're not losing anything. They're adding back the slot that you lost and then putting the console in. That is my understanding.
Okay, well, that's a little more fair, but it's still kind of silly. Like, it's a console that you can't use anywhere else.
The only
I
way
think that they're doing it... Go ahead.
I was going to say, the only way I can see them actually making it a console is if they grant it to you to be able to use it on the Captain's Intrepid.
Right, yeah, because they should theoretically be able to make the artwork work on that guy.
Yeah, it's the same ship, technically.
Yeah, now that would be kind of worth it. And in terms of the Excelsior, I'd love to put transwarp on any ship that I want, or that they'll let me.
Be handy.
Right.
Yeah.
According to a thread on the Stove forums, the Intrepid Refit's getting one additional engineering console. So
that's probably where it's going to go.
The only thing I was wondering about now with the Excelsior and the Nebula going back into the C-Store, are they going to be free ships when you hit Tier 5? Since they technically you've already bought it and already unlocked it?
Well, they're doing something new, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, the way it's going to work is that subscribers, gold members, are going to get a free ship token at every level: lieutenant commander, commander, captain, rear admiral.
Except for VA.
Silvers will get a free lieutenant commander and commander, and then they'll get a token for a discount for their ship. So they're going to actually have to purchase the free ships. Right. What they're doing is essentially they're standardizing the ship layouts. Every ship tier is going to have one of each type as a free and one of each type as a +1, as they've been calling them.
Okay.
And then the VA ships will all be C-Store only, but there will be no VA tokens, which means that you will either use your stipend and or trade dilithium for more C-Store points to buy your VA ships,
I see.
or you'll just flat buy them, one of the two.
My problem with that is that the VA ships, you can only get them on the C-Store. They raise the prices now for those ships, I've heard, and the stipend's still at 400 points a month, which everybody was like, that's too low. And now they're raising prices, and that's just making it seem a lot worse.
I wonder if they're doing that because they're worried that once you can convert dilithium to C-Store points, there's going to be a run on C-Store items, and they don't want to lose their money. But I agree, it's kind of like they negated the stipend by raising the prices. So if that's not the case...
I think it's likely that what they'll do is then they've raised the prices, they brought them online, and then they'll have these rotating sales, much like they have the rotating events. And so people who watch those will then save up their C-Store points, and then when the ship sale goes on sale, then they'll buy their ships and that sort of thing. But it does raise one important question. My tactical VA is flying an assault cruiser, which is a rear admiral ship.
Right.
I still have that VA token, which I haven't spent. So once free-to-play is launched, what happens to that token? Can I still use it to buy a C-Store ship, or is that token gone?
I'd say it's probably going to go away.
That's an interesting.
That would...
Spend now.
Spend it now, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right, and people have asked about it on the forums, and they haven't responded to that.
Well, maybe they haven't decided yet, because maybe they have to figure out how, if they do carry it over, how that would work technically. So they might not be able to answer yet. I've noticed that trend now under D'Angelo is they're not giving out a lot of off-the-cuff answers anymore. which is probably good. One of the things, though, that I liked about stall was transparency, so we had an idea what was coming down the pipe, so we could always get our word in early. And that's kind of a shift now. Now, the flip side is expectations might be a little more in line, and the Stoke community does seem to need to have their expectations in line. Otherwise, they get pretty upset when stuff doesn't go right. So maybe they're a little gun-shy, but it's an unknown question because of that new setup now. I mean, we don't have an answer to that question. So I guess we just keep asking, and maybe they'll answer. Any other thoughts on the new stuff? Like, do you guys want to talk at all about any particular changes regarding, like, the difficulty now on getting new ships, anything like that? Or you want to move on to the next topic?
I just think the only thing I have to say other on this is that a lot of gold members are going to be upset that they've lost their ship token now. And because they've already been complaining about silver players get a lot of the stuff gold members do already, and this is just another example in a way.
So are you suggesting maybe they should just drop the silver player tokens and discounts altogether?
Maybe that, or just let the gold members get their free VA ship.
Well, silver members definitely have got to get a free ship token at Lieutenant Commander and Commander because you reach those ranks, you're not going to have much time invested in the game, and you're not going to have a lot of dilithium built up. So if you start the game as a silver member, you work your way up to Lieutenant Commander, and now boom, you're stonewalled against you can't get your new ship. Yeah, that's just going to discourage people and drive them away. So they need to get free ships. But they have answered the question because remember, people have been demanding ever since that free-to-play matrix went out, well, why should I subscribe? Give me a reason to subscribe. So this is a reason to subscribe because you'll get a free ship at Captain and RA, whereas the free-to-play members won't, which means you can save that dilithium up. You won't have to spend it on your ship. And then when you hit Vice Admiral, you can trade that dilithium for C-Star points and get your Vice Admiral ship. Well, and now something to keep in mind, too, I think we should be honest with ourselves here, is you can get through the game just fine, realistically, with the mediocre ships that you can get for free. Or, free through game. Like, you don't have, you could beat the whole, we've all probably done it. We've beaten the game, we beat the game before the C-Store ships were really out there on just the ships that come in the game. Right. So,
I stuck with my tier 4 Intrepid when I hit RA just because that's how much I loved the ship. So
well, yeah, and on Tribble, like I'm not getting any special gear. I'm just whatever drops I have, that's what I'm using, and I'm still doing just fine.
It's manageable.
Right. Yeah. You know what it is you don't get all the fun, the toys, and the pretties, which why a lot of us Trekkies play, right? Yeah, that's why I got every ship, right? Is because I want to look at them. I want to take them. I want to go park them in those stupid hangars outside our space dock and stare at them.
Now, are you concerned that you won't be able to do that anymore, Chris?
Yes,
because I think you will. And here's why. So you come in Saturday, there's a new ship. You buy your C-Star points, but this one is only purchasable for dilithium because it's a lower tier.
Okay.
So then you get in game, talk to somebody in your fleet, they show up, and you guys trade dilithium and C-Star points, and then boom, you get your ship. Just as easy as it was before. Okay, there's one extra step.
From a practical standpoint, that's going to work fine. I have a resource like Jupiter Force. Other people have their fleet. They can do that kind of stuff with. But initially, Peregrine, I don't think it's going to be very doable because I think it's going to take, I think when you first see dilithium hit the market, I think it's going to be out of this world prices.
Well, it is an MMO. And so I really don't, me personally, have a problem with anything put in the game that's going to require you to actually speak to other live human beings.
Right. Right.
The only question I have about trading your dilithium for C-Store points within your fleet, are you able to do it face-to-face, or do you have to go through their new system that they're going to set up?
It's probably going to be like some sort of exchange.
Right.
Well, they've already said that they're going to have a special exchange just for dilithium and C-Store.
Yeah.
But that's a good question, Dr. Cos. Can you and I do it face-to-face?
Yeah, because if you're going to say, I'll give you like 500 C-Star points, but only give me like 1,000 dilithium, and if you put that on the exchange, whoever's fast enough to hit the button gets your deal that you were going to give to your buddy.
Right, whereas if I just want to gift you with a bunch of C-Star points just because, I can say, here's 1,000 C-Star points, give me one dilithium, boom.
Right.
Yeah. You could even do that outside the game, really, as long as it lets you trade dilithium on the back end. Or maybe, I wonder if they're only going to let you trade ore. Is ore bound to you?
No, I think the actual refined dilithium is bound to you. The ore you can probably change.
Refined is the only one you can spend.
So refined, if you want to so you'll probably have to use their exchange system if it's refined, because otherwise it's going to be bound. And they'll have to somehow unbind it when they put it in the exchange.
Because they already said that you can't trade dilithium from person to person like you couldn't with energy credits before. So I'm assuming you're going to get locked into using their system, whether you
could trade energy credits before. I think that I believe that refined dilithium is what you're going to have to trade, and that dilithium ore you cannot, because remember the limiting factor for refining it, and that they specifically have the refining that limit in how much you can refine per day as a specific way to limit how much dilithium, tradable dilithium, comes into the economy every single day. So I think you'll only be able to trade refined.
No, I would think it would only be
no, it'd be the other way
ore.
around.
It'd be the other way,
the ore.
Yeah.
You'd only be able to trade ore because
then you have to transfer it into the refined, which you can only do that 8,000 a day.
and
so
they still
it's
have the global
balanced.
limiter on that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how they do it.
Yeah. So, all right. Would you guys have any other thoughts on the dilithium stuff, or should we move on? How do we get back to dilithium? Wow, we went from ships back to dilithium again. We were going
It's
to talk
all
about
part of the economy.
I know it
It's
is.
the main
It is.
currency now.
You know what?
Yeah.
It is. That shows you how important the
And
dilithium
it's
changes
ever
are.
changing right now, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you guys want to move on to the Thunder Child, or any other thoughts?
I'd say we can move on.
All right, Trekker, let's talk about the Thunder Child, the new heavy escort refit. Give us your first takes on this, because this is, I don't know, it's a new toy. What do you think?
It's a commander rank Akira refit,
Right.
which I think should be tier 5, but
Looks like it has 4 bridge officer slots, 2 tactical, an engineer, and a science.
yeah,
So that's not bad.
no.
STOwiki's got some great info on it. If you, we'll put a link in the show notes for this, but you could go through and get all the info on it. Boy, you know, I guess it's interesting. It seems like there's been a lot of additions to the lower tiers lately for ships, huh? Because the new Enterprise or the new Constitution refit that we're seeing is a tier 3. The Klingon ships that are coming out are lower tiered ships. The Nausicaan ships specifically, right, are like tier 2, aren't they, or something like that?
Tier 2 and 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the Constitution was a tier 2.5.
It might be the
Yeah, it
tier
might
2
be.
one.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Cause.
It does-
Go ahead.
It does open up more options for each tier.
Yep. Yeah. Does this have any special fancies to it that we haven't seen before?
It does have the point defense console, which is kind of like that one exclusive item that I don't know what it's called, but
The automated defense turret.
yeah, that one.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Boy, God, stowwiki.org is so awesome. It's got all this stuff laid out right here. All right, well, that's interesting. Any thoughts on the Katinga retrofit, or the Koratinga, the Kuratinga?
I think so.
I haven't really
Pretty.
messed with it.
Yeah, it is pretty. It is absolutely pretty. Yeah, we showed some clips of that from one of our trips to Cryptic clips that we were.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last news story we'll talk about today then is the episodic content. And on Tribble, if you haven't played on it, which you probably have, I think that's really the only thing to do right now in game is play on Tribble. They've redone the mission overview screen, which is pretty. But one of the things they've also done is they've sort of collapsed the featured episodes from being off in their own little world now, and now they're part of just your general storyline.
Added it to the main storyline.
Yeah, and they're all linked together now, so you have to play them all in order. So if you don't play, say, Stop the Signal, then you can't get to the featured content, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now, I'm on the fence, you guys, so let's kick this around the round table. Let's start with Peregrine Falcon. What do you think about this change?
I think that it's going to present a number of significant problems. The biggest one being if there's so much as one game-breaking bug in one mission anywhere, it immediately stops the entire player base from advancing their characters at all in story missions. And as we know, since launch, there's always been at least one mission somewhere that had a major bug in it. Now, they're going to have to be absolutely certain that that doesn't happen.
Good. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
True, but then there's the other possibility is there are other missions that people just haven't enjoyed playing. Divided Emperor is a perfect example. I know people who flat out hate that mission and refuse to play it. Now they do not have the option to skip it.
Kaz, what is your take on this? What do you think?
I like the way that they're thinking about how they want to integrate everything, but since there's so many ways to level with the DOF system, PvP, and other things like that, you out-level the content, and if you're forced to like play through like missions like Peregrine Falcon says that you just don't like, you're going to get burned out, and you can't advance to other sections of the game that you had more enjoyed. Like right now on Tribble, I'm almost a VA, and I'm still stuck.
Well, what you're really speaking to is a balance issue with the rewards you're getting from the DOF system and the other stuff that's propelled you farther beyond your content.
Right, and like like me, I'm a Rear Admiral upper half, and I'm like I want to go play the Q mission in Gamma Orias, and
At least
I
they
can't even
scale up
access
now,
it.
though. They do
Yeah,
scale up.
they scale up, but I mean it's like I'm this level, and I've been playing for over a year and a half, and I know I should be in this section of the game, and I'm still stuck way over here.
And the rewards don't scale. The rewards don't scale up. Yeah. All right, Trekker, what's your take?
I like the fact that all the episodes are in order now because there's a story and it's not broken up. But like Peregrine said, if one mission gets bugged, then the whole story gets
ruined or it gets locked up. Murphy, what about you? What's your take?
Well, I find it a kind of good thing. It's just taken a little too far because when my brother picked the game during the summer, he went and played through the missions, and he was doing patrols and PvP.
Yeah.
And he got to play the Guardian mission, and he said, I didn't get what happened there because he had skipped like 4 missions ahead of there.
Yep.
So he didn't get the story at all. And so what I like about how this is set up now is how the story is going to progress, but it's now one long chain. What it needs to be is the Cleon chain, the Romulan chain, the Breen story arc, that type of stuff. And
yeah, and I thought honestly when I first saw this new overview system, I thought that's how it was going to work. Is the featured episodes will still be broken out. Though that said, I see logic in integrating the whole chain together because they are awesome content and they should be played. And I love the new overview system. I mean, just going through now and playing on Tribble again, it's so nice to see them all laid out. Yes,
it's much better than what it currently is.
What would be nice maybe is if some of I don't want to say they all should be optional because I do kind of want people to have to play in order.
Well, the way I would do it is I would divide it up into the various arcs, the Klingon front, the Romulan front, whatever, and you have to play them in order. You have to play the entire Klingon front in order. But when you reach commander level, then the Romulan front opens up. So now you can go do those, but you have to do those in order. But if for some reason I want to continue finishing the Klingon front missions, then I can. Or if I am done with those and I want to skip to the Romulan front missions, I can. And then when I get to the next level and the DS9 story arc missions open up, then those open up and I can play those. I still have to play them in order.
Right. Yeah. That's the sense of my thing was going to work. Trekker, were you going to add anything to
I
that?
was going to say they should probably add dilithium as rewards for the mission.
I think they will too, and I think they should even add refined dilithium because when we talked to Jesse Heineck, he said that they want to set it up so that the 8,000 per day that you can mine is also supplemented by other rewards through the game. So
because as far as new players are concerned, new players right off the bat are not going to go for the PvP exploration mission or etc.
And they don't have access to the DOF system, so they don't get dilithium that way either.
Exactly. They're going to go directly for the storyline missions.
Yeah.
And
well, because those are presented prominently. As soon as you open up that window, that's all you really see unless you start exploring around in the tabs.
Which is why I think dilithium should get added to the storyline mission rewards.
I think they will. I think they have plans to do that. I think it's just not done yet.
Right.
Well, Cypher Tatsi just sent me a PM here, and he says they should actually add a skip feature where once every 2 days you can skip a mission. So then, like, for if you separate the Romulan arc where at the commander you unlock it, but you still really want to play that one Romulan mission you brought up, you can skip it.
What about this idea? What if they tied in the new event system so that at a certain point in the event, it'd be listed in the event, it's play any mission you want event, and all of them are unlocked in any order. No good.
No,
because you're
universally hated.
You're in America. I'm in Europe.
Right.
Does that mean I have to get up at dark 30 in the AM so that I can log in for 5 minutes to click that button so that I have that new thing available?
Can't we all just go to UTC by now? I mean, come on, that would make it so much easier. Interesting. Any final thoughts? Go ahead, Trekker.
I was going to say something about the patrol missions. They currently do not level with you, but I would like there to be an option to hide them if you're like outclass them at max level, so they don't clog up your mission log.
Yeah, I take them out completely. Just like I don't want to play them. I'd rather just deal the episode. So
don't accept them though.
They level up because you know what? There's not enough content in this game already. You can't justify removing content.
Well, no, not remove
I'm not saying removing.
Give me the option to hide it from my mission tracker.
Yeah,
that's what
That's fair.
That's what I was trying to say.
I like it. I like going in there and blowing stuff up in space. I don't like the
I'm
beam
not-
down and scans and stuff like that. But
Yeah, Peregrine. I wasn't saying remove them completely. I'm just saying for people who
Okay.
outclass them,
right.
there's no real reason
Well,
for
I
them
think
to
they
fill
need-
out.
They're just clutter.
Yeah.
They need to
That's how
fix
I
them
would
so
do
that they
it.
level up with you, so that when you play them,
Yeah.
at whatever time you decide to play them, that they're still viable missions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a character in holodeck right now at Rear Admiral Upper Half. She has not done a single patrol mission, so I have every patrol mission in game right now available for that character.
One of my first time playthroughs, I just held most of the patrols till I was higher level because at first I enjoyed playing patrol, space combat and all this stuff. But then I got burnt out. I just banked them, and back then they didn't scale. I just went back and just blew through them all, just because all right, well now I'm bored. Now I'll go clean them up.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I wish they would streamline the patrols.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. Some patrol work would be nice, and I think as free-to-play players join and they start playing those patrols, how much, it's going to be interesting, right? Because there's going to be a lot of new eyeballs on this game, and you got to figure that's one of the things they'll probably complain about is those patrol missions.
Yeah.
Right, because I don't know how many times when I was playing patrols when I first started, every time I wanted to go to a system, I have to hit my menu button to figure out where on the map it is.
Yeah.
And in certain missions when you're playing, as soon as you complete one side, the little button on the bottom right shows up, says warp to next system. Why can't they just install that for patrol? So you start patrol at Vulcan, and then you warp through the system, and then but when you're done, you come back to Vulcan, or you pop out wherever the mission would end.
Because that doesn't waste as much time.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's a good note there to wrap up. Any other news stories you think we should cover this week, guys?
I do have one important question.
Go for it.
I just need to know how much dilithium it's going to cost me to buy rocket boots.
Actually, I'm not kidding you. I don't think it made it into the video, although correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it did, but
I
we
see anti-grav boots.
Yeah, you saw that? You saw that with the experimental animation, guys? Is that awesome?
Yeah.
I was like, I thought we'd stop recording. I thought, oh crap, no, I want a Peregrine to hear that. All right.
I think it was the last episode.
Magna boots. Yeah, they were called Magna boots, I think. Yeah, Stofan mentioned
Yeah,
that.
Thank you for that.
All right, guys. Well, that's the round table for this week. Let's move on. All right. Well, I was just watching that. That was great. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Now, here's the thing. This wraps up these 100 series episodes we've done. We did 3 of these bad boys, and the previous 2 are amazing as well. So you want to go check those out if you haven't yet, although most of you have. Anyways, so Stoked will be off next week. There'll be no Stoked. We're going to take 1 week off as we finalize and prep up the show, which means you can tune in over on jblive.tv on Saturday the 22nd at 11 a.m. PST if you want to see us do another dry run and get your input live while we're recording. But that means the weekend of the 29th, Saturday, there's going to be no show for you. Wait, no, I am sorry. I am screwing that up. I am so bad. The 22nd will be our live rerun. That means Tuesday the 25th, there will be no show. Tuesday the 25th of October, no show for you. We're taking that week off. There will be no release. But we'll be back in the studio on October 29th, the Saturday before Halloween, right? I think, yeah. We'll be recording the show for a release on November 1st. That'll be episode 101 of Stoked. It'll come out on November 1st, a Tuesday. Isn't that exciting for everybody? So that's when you'll see the next original Stoked, and we'll talk about all of the awesome stuff that's coming to the game. So many changes. It's kind of crazy not to be able to talk about all this stuff, but it's all in flux. So it's been kind of nice not having to talk about all of it as it's all changing. But boy, is it big, big changes. I can't even believe it. And we're going to talk all about it in episode 101. So join us right back here. Again, streamed live Saturday at 11 a.m. on October 29th for release on download November 1st. That's a Tuesday. That's when Stoked always comes out. And I hope to see you then.